Okay, finally part 2 for the Aries sun child. So we just got interrupted there where I said that they can have a hard time sitting still because that's not for everyone. But if that's the case for you, there might be like this urge to move around and doing whatever they want to do instead of doing what other people like want them to conform to. So yeah, it has to do with different things, I think. A biggie is just this lot of physical energy that needs an outlet that I was talking about in the first part. And the other things, I will give you a checklist if that's the case. But I think it's very important to mention here for the Aries child. So, first thing, don't force them to do that. If they're not like, yeah, if you can feel they have a hard time and they're struggling with that. And again, it depends on your individual situation. It's very hard for me to give advice like from a general video, you know. There are many layers and many reasons for whatever, you know, is going on in our psyche at that very moment. So just keep that in mind. It's a very, very general thing. But usually, what you can say with an Aries sun, like this physical energy, and that there's too much of that bottled up sometimes. So that can cause problems. Like we see them in the society in an inappropriate behavior, whatever that might be. But really this, it just seeks its outlet, and sometimes by just getting up and moving around, going away, just doing their own thing. And this can seem unpolite, you know, in our society. And people take this very personal. But very often it isn't, because it's mostly about the Aries child themselves, and that it's just you know, an inner urge. They cannot necessarily direct it, but it's part of their lesson to learn that. So be patient with them while they figure out how to direct their own energy, because they have a lot of this energy. And while I'm totally agreeing that, especially for Aries, it's important to also learn to, what did I say? Not calculate, to cultivate this energy, to not get like destructive into every direction as they want. It's kind of their will and their want that has to be brought down into more like directed energy. And this sometimes is a process of figuring out, of rubbing each other with other people. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So for Aries, sometimes they just get aware of something. So don't avoid a fight where it's necessary, you know, a fight. It makes things clear for them. And sometimes they seek it because they want to feel themselves, and they want to feel their boundaries, and they want to, that's their way of figuring out, very physically and very direct, also with clear, few words instead of a lot of like explanation, long sentence, and blah blah blah, and smoothing things. That's not for Aries usually, depending what else is going on in your child's chart. But they react very good at, like, you know, being you being very authentic, being very clear, so that they can mirror themselves in that clarity, and then they can figure out their own energy. So, but sometimes it needs this a little bit, how do you say that? Yeah, I don't have the English word right now. So yeah, while I totally agree that that needs to be cultivated, I want to just stress that it's a process, and you can help them by firstly understand that this is something that can be challenging for them at first. And then they figure out themselves with your help and you standing in your own power. Like, just be there and don't get into a power struggle. Don't try to break their will, right? But understand that is, so be fierce if you need to, especially, of course, if there's a security situation, an important reason for why you need to do something that your Aries child don't want to be with right now. So yeah, again, it always depends on your situation. But usually they will respect that very much when you're authentic yourself, and when they just see, okay, that's not because someone wants to implement their will onto them, but because the situation needs it. So yeah, they're also kind of practical in that way. They like this mechanics. I want to say mechanics of rules. Not too many rules. That's more a Capricorn child, but more like okay, there's a function to that has a reason. Okay, then they can usually accept it. So yeah, that was my first point here, I think. So never force them, and never, like, not too much. Of course, there can be an emergency situation where you have to really set a boundary and say, no, this is like, so you know what I mean? It can feel more forceful, but when it comes from the right intention, from your intention of you saying that to protect your Aries child and for something, you know, very necessarily and important, again, this will end differently, right? So, but I just want to mention that don't force them, because if you do that too much, too long, or a situation where it's not necessary, this can lead to suppressed energy. And because, you know, their health, their well-being, their sun is in Aries, and it directly has to do, is just coupled with this physical energy, this can lead to maybe later in life or early in life to stress and in the body, and health struggles, and you know, anger issues, and this kind of, then they don't have a chance to learn how to figure out this energy. So yeah, as I said, they sometimes they need a little space to do that. And a conflict isn't something bad for Aries. They are experiencing this more like a learning, a figuring out. While this could be more challenging for other zodiac signs, Aries is courageous, but they're also very direct. It's part of their like psyche. Why talking around something? Why avoiding something? If you can, you know, go directly to it and understand it directly, they need to like push. I'm doing this. They need to really like handle things directly and practically, like take action and solve it, and they're very much in motion, and that's important for them as well. So again, try to avoid the suppressed energy, while I still think in important situations it's super important to set boundaries, and that you step up in your authority, also for them to feel safe, to feel protected, because they're still a child, right? And they cannot see everything that's going on. And, you know, when you're setting a boundary, that usually has its reason. It's not because you just want to, you know, putting your will onto your child. But I think it's important that they understand and learn that when their parents or other authority personalities say something, that it's also important to learn to adapt to that. And of course they can do that, but usually they like to understand why, just a short why, And then they will follow and respect that. Yeah, and even take, other people like their parents or teachers or like strong personalities around them as their role model. Even they really love to have strong people around them. So don't shy away from stepping up in your own power. And I'm sure you have to do that when you have Aries child, right? They will challenge you into your stronger you, because they have very strong personalities and have a strong will. So if you don't want them to dance around on your, kitchen table, and that them being the boss, wanting to decide and direct everything, so you have to just to keep good boundaries, good healthy boundaries, and have a good laughter about everything as well. So they're not doing it because they want to be rude usually, but they have so much energy and it's so natural and direct for them to take the lead. And they see, a solution in the moment. So why doing all kind of other stuff like learning or being patient, following rules? It's sometimes they don't get it, or yes, they get it, but it's so boring for them because they already like further down the road, they see a possibility. They want to, well, there's something new. What's that? And they want to engage with things directly and butt heads if necessary. So they don't shy away from that. But of course, yeah, it's up to you to give that a structure. And they love structure. They love a good, clear structure in that sense. Best a structure that gives a lot of space also to move around and, fill in your own things there. So I think I will break these videos up just because it makes it a little bit easier to upload them at the moment. So yeah, see you in the next one.